Well, also, there's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain.
Exactly.
And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends, and you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. Mm-hmm. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness.
Yeah.
As long as I'm alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate, but as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. So I think that as a man, your happiness comes from feeling respected over feeling loved. And the reason perhaps you're happy now is because you have more respect for yourself because of the decisions you're making, and
Amen.
you have self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of men, even if they have self-respect, if nobody else respects them, they're struggling. If you're a person, if you're a man and you're out here and you go, you know what? Who do I want to be? I want to be strong and rich and brave and respected. Then I need friends who are strong and rich and brave and respected. That's what you need to do. If you're going to say, oh, I want to be these things, but I hang around with this guy because we play FIFA together, then you can stay a fucking loser. And that is your decision. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for losers. I want to make this another thing clear that ends up on TikTok and everyone cries their eyes out. I don't give a solitary fuck if you want to stay at the bottom of the societal totem pole. If I'm going to ignore how I feel day after day so I can perform, regardless of whether I'm sad, happy, pissed off, tired, if I'm going to get up and work anyway when I'm tired, how do you expect me to feel sorry for you because you didn't work when you were tired? If I don't care about my own emotions, I certainly don't give a solitary shit about yours. If you want to stay a loser, stay one. Good, it's fine. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for you. I don't care. I don't understand or I don't fathom the concept of fun. I don't wake up and think, what can I do for fun? I don't wake up and think, what is fun? I want fun. That never crosses my mind. I wake up and think, I have things to do. And if I don't have things to do, I'll find things to do. You can always do more work. There's no such thing as no work to do. After this podcast is done, you can release it. And you can make X amounts of clips. That's going to be done. And then you could watch it back and you could analyze every word you've ever said and you could find a way to say it differently. You could look at dictionary and find new words and you could learn them and you can memorize them all. Then you could sit down and you could rehearse it and use those words and sentences to make sure you pronounce them correctly and you don't make any mistakes. Then you could always do more work from the same thing. The work is never ending. The money is never ending.
So you have to find joy in your work.
You have to find purpose at least. I don't know if I even find joy in my work because I'm stressed and annoyed. I'm furious all the time. What do you mean we've made $1.3 million today? It's a joke. Flip the computer. But it's you have to conquer the earth. Yeah. This is the thing that I don't truly understand. If I'm unhappy with something and I'm uncomfortable with something, I fix it. Yeah. That's endless motivation, which I don't truly believe in as a concept, but that's endless fuel for the fire. Right. If I was unhappy with something about myself, regardless of what it was, I would be able to take all of that discomfort and turn it into endless energy to get the problem fixed. Yeah, exactly. But these people seem to...
It's okay to be unhappy.
Yeah, well, these people seem to sit and say, I'm really unhappy with X, but then stay doing X. So I don't believe they're truly actually unhappy. What you'll notice if you live life long enough is that somebody will sit and say to you, I'm unhappy being a loser. You say, why are you a loser? I just sit at home and play video games 7 days a week. And you're like, okay. And maybe 3 days of the week, they're unhappy doing that. Yeah. And that's the time they email you and that's the time they want to make a change. But 4 days of the week, they don't really, it doesn't really bother them. Yeah, it doesn't really bother them. Because if it bothered them 7 days a week, guess what?
They would fix it.
Correct. Yeah. So I have very little sympathy for people. And that's not because I'm not a nice person, but it's because I've been so hard on myself and I've been through so many things that were difficult, and I've been through so much pain and trauma myself, some of it self-inflicted, some of it given to me by God to make me a better person. But I've been so difficult on myself. It's very hard for me to look at somebody who's refused to be difficult on themselves and see them as my equal or feel sympathy or pity for them. Why would I feel pity for somebody who took the easy route when I took the hardest possible route? Yeah. I took the hardest possible way to be the man I am, and you were too big of a and now you want me to feel sorry for you? I don't feel sorry for you. Yeah. I don't feel sorry for these people. And because as a man, you can be anything you decide you want to be. That's the beauty of being a male. You can build your character completely from the ground up, just like a video game. Every single thing about me that people respect, I built. I was not born a world champion kickboxer. I was not born this intelligent or intellectual. I was not born this rich. I was not born this strong. I was not born this confident. I was not born this interesting. I was not born this charismatic and humble and gorgeous and tall and strong and sexy. I was not born none of these things. I became these things myself. So I deserve all the spoils of war. And anybody who decides they don't want to work hard enough to become those things, then they deserve to sit and accept they're my inferior. Yeah. That's their problem.
And life is a value exchange. Every friendship, every relationship, every business relationship, there has to be an exchange of value. If as you progress through life, if people stay in the same place, you're only giving value and you're not receiving any value back. And you have to be ruthless about those things. Like I have a very curated circle and everybody in my circle is extremely useful and we're extremely successful. And it's a very motivating thing. If you're in a room full of ice cream experts and all they talk about is ice cream, how to move ice cream, how to sell ice cream, different flavors of ice cream, how you make ice cream, you're going to learn a lot about ice cream. If you're in a room full of people who are billionaires, and guess what they're talking about? Money. And guess what you're going to learn about? Money. I don't sit and have pointless conversations with people. I don't even know what people are talking about. If me and my friends meet, we end up talking about the earth and how it can pay us. That's what we talk about. And that's how we manage to make a bunch of money. So you have to be ruthless with your circle. And for people out there who understand this, a lot of people say they understand it, but they genuinely don't. But if you do and you are trying to progress your circle, you need to find a way to provide value. You need to either join networks like my one on corporative.com, or you need to find a way to provide value. I'll give you an example. In Romania, I was driving and I went to a town called Cluj. It's a very small town. I went in a nice car and a kid came up to me and he said, I run the car spotting page and we take pictures of the Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Can I take a picture? It's like, yeah, sure. And anyway, he took a picture of it and then he gave me his business card and he said, I just want you to know, I don't even like cars. I just knew the best way for me to meet rich people is to take photos of nice cars.
It's a great story.
I was like, you're smart.
Very smart.
I hired him.
I'm not surprised.
Really? He works for me. Yeah, he still works for me for this day. Yeah. He was smart enough to go, well, where's the money over there? Yeah. How do I get close to the money? Oh, they don't want to talk to me. But if I take cool photos of his car, he might want to talk to me. You have to find a way to provide value to people. Yeah. If you provide value and it's a value exchange, you'll do good. But yeah, I say this to people and they go, oh, but my friend, and we have a good time together. Well, if you're going to prioritize your friends by drinking and having fun, then you're going to have a bunch of fucking loser friends. That's your life and that's your life to live. It's fine. Don't complain when the NHS are on strike and you can't get seen and I'm in a private hospital in fucking Saudi. That's your problem. You have to just make your decisions in life and live true to them. But creating a circle is ultra important. And it's not just important financially, it's also important for your entire life and your mindset as a whole. Because it's amazing, especially amongst men, we never want to be the poorest person in the room. We never want to be the weakest person in the room. You never want to be, so if you're with a group of killers, you have now this massive expectation. It's almost like societal pressure and a positive force. If I go to my friends, I can't be the weakling. If everyone does X amount of push-ups, I have to do them.
You might get dropped out.
Yes, well, you don't want to.
That's not happening.
You don't want to feel that. If I had to open a coffee shop, if I sit in a coffee shop, right? If I sit in Starbucks, the whole time I'm in there, not only am I thinking about how they got the money from me and how much I spent, I'm thinking about how I could outcompete them. I'd sit there and go, okay, cool. I'm in Starbucks. I spent £5.68. I got a latte and I got a donut and I'm sitting here. And that business place, that commercial property right across the street is available for lease. How could I outcompete this coffee shop, which just took my money? What's the profit margin on this £5.68? How much did this cost them? The coffee, pennies. Donut, 30p maybe, right? How much is the staff? They pay the staff minimum wage £8 an hour. So I've already paid 30 minutes work from that brokey, the wage. She's there for another 30 minutes for free, right? How much is the rent? How much is the business rates? If I had to open up there, how would I attract people to come into my shop as opposed to their shop? They got a big brand name. I'm brand new. Okay, well, the bitch working here is ugly. My one's going to be hot. Boom, that's the beginning. Next thing, do they have any signage outside? No, I'm gonna try and put some signage outside. Do they have parking? No, I need parking. But you just start thinking about how you can convince people to give you their money as opposed to giving it to the places they already give it.
Different analytics.
And once you do that, people say, I can't think of how to make money. If you start doing that for a year and just keep a notepad, you'll have 100 ideas of how to make money. You'll sit there and go, there's a place here that's doing this and we could do it better this way. This place online is doing this, we can do it better this way. And then to get them all done, what do you need? Network. You need people. It's all about people. Then you need to either go in the war room if you want to join, or have your people around you and say, okay, we can make money with this. Who's going to do it? Who's not lazy? Who's getting up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? Boom, let's get it done. So there's unlimited ways to make money, but most people go through life and their money is taken from them and they don't even identify how they got tricked out of it.
They're just happy with it.
Yeah, they just have, how did I spend 16 grand in Cirque last night? Oh, because my ass got drunk. How'd they get me drunk? Well, because the guy, when I first bought the first bottle of champagne, was there on the table, pouring, putting it in my hand, got me drunk, then I spent 16 grand on bottles. That's how they got my money. So if I open a club, I had to make sure when people first come in, they get fucking hammered. Nobody thinks about it that way. Nobody thinks, how did they get that out of me? Right? Why am I spending $2,000 for dinner in Novikov? Is it the food or is it the fact that I'm in Novikov and tag myself in Novikov? You have to identify how you're getting famoosed, how you're getting finessed. That's how you do it. But most people just walk through life getting finessed left, right, and center, giving all their money up. How did that happen?
You got to learn to finesse other people.
Yeah, but it's not finessing in a negative way.
It's in a good way.
It's a good way. You have to take money from other people. That's the only way you're going to make money.
Yeah.
You have to take it. There's a pimp, and he said a really intelligent line. He said, "Business is just other people's money." That's all business is. I want to start a business. So you want other people's money. That's what you want. So how are they going to give it to you? You have to think about it. Nobody thinks about it. And the easiest way to think about it is to think how you're giving yours away. That's a mental model you should adopt.
Yeah.
And you'll end up with loads of business ideas. Business ideas are everywhere. It's just execution, which is difficult.
People can, to a degree, be happier in certain scenarios than others.
Good.
Yeah, because they don't understand what's really happening.
Yeah.
They don't understand about the battle of good and evil. They don't understand about the Matrix. They don't understand that they're a slave.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. And they're ignorant to how good their life could be. So they think their life is good. I understand all that. But that all changes when times get hard. Because those people are not happening to life. Life is happening to them. And they are subject to
circumstances.
Correct. I'm not subject to circumstance. No matter what happens, I can change country. I can fight against a wind.
You are the circumstance.
I can disappear. I am the circumstance. Tate arrives and circumstances change. Whereas these people cannot do that. The circumstances dictates their life, and on a long enough time scale, especially in the world we're currently living in, I think that things are going to get a lot harder for these people, and they will see soon that ignorance is not bliss because they cannot pay their heating bill. Whereas if they were less ignorant and paid attention, they'd be able to be living in a mansion like me with heating on full blast. So this is what happens. You're never going to be truly happy in your mind if you go against the teachings of God. I don't care how much money you make. If you're a bad person, you're not going to feel happy. I don't care how much money you make. If you snake people or lie to people or do bad to people, you're never going to feel happy true deep in your heart. True in your heart, we're intrinsically designed to do right and do good, and that's something that God gave us. And when you have that, you understand that that's more important than anything else.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound, airy fairy, but I truthfully believe that the universe is a giving place, and that if you actually really want something, you can have it. How much you want is how much you're prepared to sacrifice. So if you want $500,000 a year, you can definitely make that. And that level of stress you'll absorb for that money and the amount of headache you'll go through, if that's the amount you're prepared to accept for a happy life, you'll have it.
Do you think anyone can do that though?
I think that you have to pre-decide, right? So even my level of wealth comes with enormous stress. Governments are after me. Like most people are not mentally prepared for the bullshit I go through. So the number one factor that's going to decide how successful you are as a person is your ability to absorb stress, your stress level. The better you are at dealing with stress, the more problems you can fix, the more money you're going to make. One of the most terrifying but also gratifying things of life as a man is that we're all born relatively valueless. I don't think women are born that way. A woman, if she's born, especially if she's attractive, has an innate value. People just want her no matter what. But as a man, if you're not an important man, nobody gives a fuck about you, and they're never going to care. So you have to build yourself from the ground up, and that's scary for a lot of people, but it's also a massive opportunity. You can decide if you want to be a famous musician or a nice sensitive poet or a painter or a kickboxing world champion or a businessman. You get to decide on all the different characters in the video game. You can choose, who do I want to be? And then if you actually try, you can become it. Isn't that amazing? You can wake up and go, you know what? I want to be this kind of guy. I knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the dude pulling up in the Lambo, 3 a.m, gets out. Everyone's like, who is this big, strong, rich dude? I wanted to be that man, so I became him. And if you don't want that, if you want to go be a musician and play guitar and get a bunch of chicks and chill in Bali and smoke weed, whatever, go, you can choose your character and build it.
The kind of people who are really genuinely upset by what I say are the kind of people who can't truly learn anything and become successful in life.
Yeah.
I obviously know what I'm talking about to some degree, right? So if Mike Tyson walks in here and tells you he's going to teach you how to box and says you can't fight, you're a pussy, If that upsets you, then you can't learn, right? It's Mike Tyson. Just shut up and listen. If someone, Richard Me, comes along and says, Andrew, you don't know shit, you're a dumbass and you're a brokey, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I'm a brokey, Elon. Tell me something. Right, I'll listen, but if you're going to sit there and go, "Don't call me names," and I not listen, you're never going to get anywhere. Right? You don't become the master unless you're very, very good at being a student. And I've always been very, very good at knowing when to shut up. I think the world would be a terrible place if everyone had a free mind. You do need the slave minds.
I've heard you say that.
As annoying as they are,
Yeah.
you do need the slave minds. You do need the guy who believes that working in the gas station is important and he's good at it. You need him. It's good. You need these people.
Yeah, but what if that guy just doesn't know any better, though?
It's good.
Or his
This is what we're talking
limitations.
about.
Good,
though.
fine. The world can't all be, mansions on the palm in Dubai. They can't all be that. So successful is all about self-definition, which is what I was saying at the beginning. You have to decide who you want to be. And if you wanted to be Joe Schmo and you pull it off, then you'll be a pretty happy, content person. Decide who you want to be. I think the people who are miserable, it's the gap between their expectations and their reality. That's where the misery lies.
Yeah.
My expectations were always enormously high. Even when I was a nobody, I knew I had to be filthy rich and a kickboxer, and I knew I had to be the kind of guy that people gave a
Were you
shit.
happy at that point?
I know, but I knew I'm basic things. At the age of 15, I knew that if I'm the kind of guy that if I raise my voice, people are going to care. I'm not going to be the guy who starts shouting and everyone thinks it's funny. I know I'm going to be the kind of guy who is genuinely a formidable opponent in all realms of human endeavor. I know I'm going to have money. I know I'm not going to take shit
Where did
from
that come
nobody.
from, though? 'Cause
But
you can't just.
Yeah, I know.
And I understand what you're saying, because my whole life
you
I
had the
felt
same
like
thing,
there's
bro.
always more. I know that there's more. Like,
But I think a lot of people have that.
of course.
But the people who are miserable are the people who don't try hard enough to obtain it, because I actually believe, and this is another thing I'll say, I believe the universe is very giving. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100% who doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it. Every single person who doesn't have what they want, there's something in their story that doesn't quite add up. I've yet to see some guy have you ever seen a guy who eats right and trains his ass off and never misses a gym session ever not grow?
No,
ever.
no, never.
Not
Ever.
what? Not what?
Grow.
Not make
ever.
gains.
It's just, that's the way the universe works, right? So if you're truly about it and you're truly trying your absolute best, you're going to do it. And that's what I believe. I believe the universe is extremely giving. So when I meet somebody and they go, I really wanted this and I don't have it, I say, you didn't really want it. You're a liar. One of the best things about money is I've managed to create my reality absolutely. I don't talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. If you come to me and say, we can make $100 million, but I don't like your shirt, then you can get fucked. That's my life now, because I don't need money and I don't like you. So that's who I am, right? So I've created my reality, absolutely. And the number one thing I will not do is talk to negative people. I don't want to hear, I don't care what your story is. I don't care what happened. If all you do is complain, you are not around me, because it is sticky. It's sticky to you. It's sticky to the universe. It leaves a residue. I don't want to hear it. Everyone around me is happy. And not only happy, we're the kind of people, if we're in a trench and we're getting shelled, we're laughing.
Yep.
We're like, missed. Woo-hoo. That's who we are. Bro, they just hit me with the largest matrix attack on the planet. I should be destitute and disappeared. Here I am on your podcast. I just pulled up in a brand new sports car. I'm like a cockroach, and you drop the nuke to kill everyone, and the cockroach crawls out with top G on the back. It's all hilarious, bro. It's a joke. Human trafficking for TikTok. The whole thing's a joke, but here I survive. So you have to be that person. And even my brother and I in jail, sometimes we just look at each other. We'd be sitting there in jail, and sometimes we'd look at each other and just burst out laughing. Like, this is so ridiculous. But I don't have time for negative people. And especially when negative people come out with their sub stories, I guess I'm kind of fortunate that God has put me through so many difficult things. When people tell me their sub stories, I'm sitting there going, is that it? You're a fuck up because of that? You should have seen what I had to do. Like, so I don't even want to hear it. I'm uninterested in it. And you're right. You have to be careful who you're around, because you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. There's a study I read about stress, and it was saying that stress has a placebo effect attached to it, because the placebo effect is extremely powerful. So they found some of the most stressed people in the world, and they split them into 2 groups. And they're all equally stressed. They all have a bunch of cortisol in their blood.
Yeah.
The people who believed that stress was bad for you and that stress can hurt you, and they believed those media articles, were dying earlier. They were having heart attacks and having stress-related illnesses. The people who believed the opposite, who just said, stress is part of being successful. I like stress. When I feel stressed, I do my best. It makes me anxious. It turns my brain on. I like being stressed. Lived longer than average.
Yeah.
The point is, the same drug, how you look at it and how your body anticipates it, how you feel about it, affects the real world results. I don't think motivation is a real thing. I don't believe in motivation as a concept. I think discipline is real, and I also think discontentment is real. And I don't think it's possible for anybody to stay in a scenario where they're truly uncomfortable. If you fall asleep
sleep on your arm and your arm really starts to hurt, even in the deepest sleep, you're going to wake up and move your arm. If you sit there and your life has been in a rut for 7 years, you are semi-comfortable in that rut. Sure, there's days you're pissed off. Sure, you're semi-annoyed by it. But there's also days where you just play video games, eat pizza, and you're kind of cool with it and it's no big deal. If you were truly unhappy and uncomfortable and discontent with your scenario, you wouldn't be in it.
So I
don't believe there's anybody who's truly, when I was broke, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, how the fuck these people have Ferraris? I want a fucking Ferrari. I couldn't sleep.
People who are still dependent on the system will fight to defend the system. There are people who I will sit there and say to them, look, your university degree is a scam. They lied to you. I will show you how to make money. And their reply will be, no, I went to a good university. They are desperate. No, that degree means something. You work at Greg's, G. Doesn't mean any. Shut up. They won't accept it, right? So certain people are not ready for the truth. People who are ready for the truth seek it and they find it.
Most people don't deserve to be proud of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. A lot of people say, oh, I have confidence issues. And I say, if I was you, I would have confidence issues. Of course. I completely understand why you have confidence issues. You're a dork. But we have to be realistic here. We have to be absolutely not only realistic because the world is brutal and it's harsh. If you're not proud of yourself, you probably don't deserve to be proud of yourself. So you're not going to feel happy. And you just talked about confidence. Confidence comes from competence. The reason I'm confident is because I'm good at everything.
Right.
I'm good at everything I do. The things I'm not good at, I'm not confident in, of course. And I know what they are. I don't do them very often. I've now created my reality to the point where I don't do anything I'm not good at.
You just hire.
I either hire or I just don't want to do it. Like I don't play darts.
Yeah.
I'm not good at darts, right?
just
I do what I'm good at. Yeah. So yeah, I'm absolutely and utterly confident because I'm absolutely and utterly competent, and that takes practice and discipline and motivation, and you need to fail a few times. You need to get up. And like I said earlier, when I learned my entire mindset in professional fighting and chess, the two combined, that's how it comes down to. And when people say, oh, I have competence issues, usually I can look them up and down and say, yeah, if I was you, I would completely and utterly struggle with confidence issues. Because the world is competitive and there's men like me on the planet and friends like mine on the planet, and you're competing against us for money, for girls, for status, for resource, and you're going to be destroyed and decimated the entire time. So of course you have confidence issues when you can be annihilated in real time by the competitor. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have confidence issues? You'd be psychopathic not to.
And that's another thing about opportunities, right? Because you have to be positioned to take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
It's like in chess, they say good moves come from good positions. It's true. You can't find a good move from a terrible position, right? If you're sitting at home with no money, it's hard to invest in Bitcoin at $1. It doesn't matter what it goes to, right? You got to be in a good position to take advantage of things. So you've always got to be in a position where you have a good network, you have good information, you have some kind of liquid money, you have the ability to survive without that money, you can take a risk. Like, it's hard to set yourself up. I'm in a position now where I'm in the NBA. I'm an NBA player. I can never go broke again. So it doesn't matter, right? Once you're in the NBA, I can throw $1 million at something. It doesn't matter if it works or not. So for me, it doesn't make a difference. And that's why it's so much easier. They always say the first million is the hardest, and they're completely right. Once you get to a certain point, you can gamble to a degree.
I don't even know the story of the 4-minute mile, but when everyone was running, long distance running, everyone said a 4-minute mile was impossible. And everyone was attempting it was impossible. And then one guy did it one day, and after he did it, 10 people did it in like 3 weeks. Yeah. And it's like the belief. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people when they're canceled go, I'm done. Now, nobody else has I will sit here and openly say my network and the things I do and the unique way I approach it and the war room and the organization I have and the money I have and the influence I have is unique. Most people don't have that. However, people will have the morale to go, I've been canceled, but you know what? I'm not quitting. Doesn't matter. I'm not giving up. All right, just make a new account. Bang, back to work, back to work, back to work. And on a long enough scale, if enough people do that, there will be inertia and momentum behind it, which will make a shift in the universe. It will attack the matrix in real time. It's belief.
I have a question.
It's belief. You must believe.
I believe in you.
You must, no, but you must believe.
I fucking believe in you, bro.
That's Andrew. The key.